Today I'll show you 10 ways to turn a full color photograph black and white in Photoshop. Now I'll be demonstrating with portrait shots, but for you landscape photographers, these tricks work beautifully. Oh, and in case you're thinking, just use a black and white adjustment layer, as we're about to see. Now, let's start with the simplest approach from your vantage point anyway, and that's to choose a single command. So notice here in the channels panel that we have an RGB image, as is typical, meaning that Photoshop is fusing together red, green, and blue light to create a full color composite. This photograph, by the way, comes to us from the Dreamtime image library, link in the description. Now, I have a couple of duplicates open for the sake of demonstration, and so I'll go up to the image menu, choose mode, and choose grayscale, and I'm going to get an alert message, at least by default, telling me another way to work. We'll come to that in just a moment. However, when I click discard, watch what happens. So this is a little bit misleading. There aren't really 4 channels. There's a composite view and then 3 channels, red, green, and blue, that get fused together into a single channel gray, at which point color is no longer even possible. We'll come to that shortly. In any event, let's say you decide to work a little differently. You want to just keep a single channel, which might be a good idea. After all, one channel is better than the others, as we're about to see. Now, we're all red-blooded creatures, and so we're all going to be brightest in the red channel. Maybe not as bright as she is. She has pale skin and red hair, so she is very bright indeed. Things are going to calm down in the green channel. This is the so-called detail channel, because this channel tends to have the best detail. And then the blue channel is usually something resembling a mitigated disaster. Notice if I go ahead and zoom in right here, we have all kinds of noise, and we've got posterization, and that's because our eyes are least sensitive to the blue channel, the cameras try least where this channel is concerned. In any event, you may say, well, then why even keep it? Why not just go to that green channel, then go up to the image menu, choose mode, and choose grayscale, at which point a different alert. It's going to say, do you want to throw the other 2 channels away? Yes, you do. Click OK. You're not going to see a difference on screen because you're keeping the green channel. Now, I'm going to compare the 2. They're not going to be all that different, but they are going to be different. I want you to watch the eyes and the hair. Now, remember that her hair is very bright red, and her eyes are kind of a greenish blue. So they're going to go from a little bit darker, the eyes, the irises, to a little bit brighter when we're just seeing the green channel, whereas the hair is going to go from a little bit brighter when we factor in the red channel in our RGB fusion to a little bit darker when we're seeing the green channel by itself. And by the way, if you're enjoying this so far, take a moment to subscribe. Be sure to turn on notifications. It just keeps getting better. For example, now for method number 3, which is the ultimate method for black and white inside Photoshop. Once you've gone to grayscale, you can go to Bitmap, and that's going to make every pixel black or white, nothing in between. I'll stick with the current output resolution. Notice halftone screen. You can try the other ones, but I'm going to stick with this. Click OK, and I'm going with a line screen. You'll see what that looks like. Diagonal lines, frequency of 30 lines per inch. Click OK, and notice that's the frequency right there. How many lines those diagonal lines are packed into an inch. Try printing that out. It looks gorgeous, by the way, but it can be even better. Check it out. I'm going to go to another duplicate of this image, choose Bitmap once again, and I'm going to crank the resolution value to 4 times its current resolution. So 4 times as wide, 4 times as tall. That's 1200 pixels per inch, which is 16 times as many pixels in all. Click OK, and I'm going to take up the screen frequency as well, so we have a lot more lines. Now, initially, that's going to look like a big mess because we're zoomed way out, but if you start zooming in, you can see the real goodness. Again, try printing that one if you like to, but here's a demo side by side. I'll hide the channels panel for a second. Here's what you get at 300 pixels per inch versus 1200, still 30 LPI for both, lines per inch, that is to say. So we have smoother lines over here on the right hand side, but we don't have that much detail, whereas if I crank up that LPI value, that frequency value, then we have way more lines and way more detail as well. Now, the the thing about switching to a mode, whether it's black and white or grayscale, is that you abandon all hope of color. Now, you can change that just by going back to that mode submenu and choosing RGB color if you like, or you can choose never to leave color in the first place with an adjustment layer. And I'm going to start. Believe it or not, this is the place to start, by the way, with Channel Mixer, because that way you can just mix your channels together. I'll make this properties panel a little taller right here and turn on monochrome, and we have a mix that's very similar, not identical, but very similar to what Photoshop comes up with on its own. And then you can venture from there. So if you decide, you know what, I want more red in the mix, at this point, that's kind of a bad idea because I'm blowing highlights, as is evident, I think, inside the image window. But notice right here, this total value has a warning next to it telling me that it's more than 100%. You want it to be less, by the way. And so what I'll do is compensate by taking the blue value down even into negative territory. That's fine. If I get that total value to 100%, I have a very good looking image. Now, it may look like it's blown out. It's not, trust me. It's just very high key. If you want an opposite effect, why then you can try this first preset. Is really interesting. It brings out all kinds of detail. All right, I'll get rid of that layer so I can remind you that when I chose grayscale, Photoshop thoughtfully recommended I try out a black and white adjustment layer instead. And these are very popular, however, as we're about to see, they provide limited return on investment where portrait shots are concerned. So notice we have these 6 primary regions represented. Almost nothing never is magentas, by the way. You can waste so much time on that one, as well as blues. Notice I'm getting nothing from cyans or even greens, shockingly. It's all, in the case of this image, reds and yellows. Now, we do have this awesome tool right here. Hey, real quick, want to see an 11th way to turn a photograph from color to black and white? One in which I automatically trace the image with some basic lines, infuse the image with precision cross-hatching, and finish it off with some dramatic shading? Why then join my Patreon, which is patreon.com/deeknow. And now back to a bunch of ways to black and white in Photoshop. The targeted adjustment tool, go ahead and select it. Drag inside the image, in my case, in order to change the red's value independently of the others. If I drag in her iris, well, I'm getting no action. Sometimes, well, I'm changing the reds. Once again, you never know, I might get yellows. Yep, there it happened. Isn't that great? Now, you might look at this and say, well, this cannot be indicative of the whole. Well, let's try a different portrait shot. Same photographer, different lighting conditions. I'll try black and white. Before I do, notice his jacket is kind of bluish in places. So if I choose that command and I change the blues value or the cyans value, I do get some reaction. Where landscape shots are concerned, blues are your sky colors, cyans are your sea colors, greens are kind of foliage. Nothing inside this image. Even with landscapes, you're going to get more of a reaction out of yellows. Nothing is ever magentas. This guy's lip is kind of falls into magenta zone. Do I really want to make it brighter though? I don't think so. And so everything is again happening with reds and yellows, which is no surprise because I've said it before and I'll say it again. We as human beings, regardless of skin tone, are orange. Now, the thing about these color ranges is they represent how Photoshop perceives colors, not how we perceive them. If you want something more analogous to your perception when converting to grayscale, then you want to work with the camera raw filter instead. This guy right here, I'm going to apply it to the flat image. I'm not going to work with a smart object, in other words, because that would balloon the file size from 6 megabytes for this JPEG image to 93 megabytes, which is a 15-fold increase. It's just not worth it, I don't think. Now notice that I've got these color mixer options expanded right here. As soon as I click on B and W, they switch to black and white mixer options. And so each one of these perceptual color ranges now, notice we have oranges and aquas and purples, are contributing to the overall luminance levels. And so I can grab the targeted adjustment tool once again and drag. Watch the oranges value, will you? As I drag inside his flesh, that's what I'm changing, is the oranges value, a little bit of reds as well. And so some things aren't going to do anything. So greens, once again, makes no contribution. Aqua's nada. Purple's a little bit on the left-hand shoulder. Blues a little bit where the jacket is concerned. Magentas, of course, the all-important lower lip. And reds, if I take it down, makes him look sickly. If I brighten it up, he looks a heck of a lot better. You need to watch these values as you work. However, notice if I crank up yellows, I bring out a ton of compression artifacts in the background. And so that's just something to bear in mind. Could happen with any of the sliders, at which point you click OK in order to apply that change. Notice that I'm still working inside the RGB mode. You can see that up here in the title tab, which means from this point on, I can continue to add color if I like. Now, I don't know if you've been counting, but we're now at technique number 7. From this point on, these are special effects techniques. Let's say you just want to convert the image to black and white and nothing more, but you don't want to go to the trouble of choosing bitmap and you want to keep it non-destructive. In that case, we've got a command down here, which is threshold. That's all there is to it. Anything that's brighter than this threshold level value, which is gray by default, that is to say, medium gray. Anything brighter is going to be white, and anything darker is going to be black, and you can change the threshold in between two tastes. Now, that's awfully simple, of course. Let's say you want to add a few more levels. Why, then technique number 8 is to apply the next command up, posterize this guy right here. At first, it's not going to look right at all, and that's because we need to take the colors and turn them into shades of gray, and you do that by clicking on the FX icon and choosing color overlay. And you want gray as your color, and so for HSB, dial in 0050. By the way, is the way to go. Click OK, change the blend mode to saturation. That's all there is to that one. And then crank the opacity up to 100% if you just want black and white pixels. Then click OK. And now what you can do is change the number of levels. If you take it down to its minimum of 2, you have just 2 shades of gray between white and black. Notice that. And then you can take that value up by clicking inside of it and pressing the up arrow key as I am doing now. I like about 12 levels, I think, and that gives us the option of, instead of defeating the noise and the banding, we can celebrate it as we are seeing right here. So a very nice effect indeed. If you want something more, here's technique number 9. I will go ahead and create what I call an empty adjustment layer. Just brightness contrast is going to work out great. Don't change the brightness or contrast values. Leave them alone. And then you need to convert that adjustment layer to grayscale by choosing color overlay once again and going through those same steps: gray, saturation, 100%, click OK. And now what you do is you change the level of contrast using a blend mode, starting with overlay, and you end up getting a higher contrast effect like so. And then you might try linear light is another good one. And finally, hard mix. Now, hard mix is going to seem awfully harsh because after all, we're left with this kind of posterization effect where we have just 2 shades of gray in between. That's when you change the fill value, not opacity. Notice if I take down the opacity value, yuck. I'll go ahead and undo that change. What we want is fill instead, which has a very special relationship with the hard mix mode. And notice that we end up with this smooth, high contrast effect. And now for technique number 10, we are officially in advanced territory, my friends, arbitrary maps. And so I'll click and choose gradient map down here. And what we're doing is we're mapping the luminance levels inside the image to this gradient. So black to black, white to white. As a result, we get a kind of high contrast black and white effect, but now you can move these guys around. You can even invert them if you want to, and you can create more. So I'll take this one down to a location of 0, meaning what was black becomes white now. And then I'll take this down to, let's say, 25%. And so we have a very dark image. I will click right here in the center. Let's say at 50%, the location value, change it by double clicking, change it to white, like so. And then you can duplicate color stops as well by Alt or Option dragging them. They may get stuck to your cursor, so click to set them down, Alt or Option drag this guy, click to set it down, and drag it up to 100%, and we end up with this trippy effect here. And then if you decide at the last minute you want to cheat and introduce some color, why then double click on one of these color stops like so, and I'm gonna go with a shade of purple, let's say something like that. Looks absolutely fantastic. Click OK again, and now I'll press Shift F in order to switch to the full screen mode, and we end up with something unlike anything ever created before. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but come on. Arbitrary maps have always been and will always be the bomb. Agree? Disagree? Comment below. below, and then subscribe and turn on notifications. And for a step-by-step way to turn any photograph into a piece of impeccably rendered line art, join me at patreon.com/DeekNow. And then go to Deke.com and sign up for my highly graphical newsletter. I'm Deke McClellan. This is Deke Now.